Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Steel Will Resident. You are not having flashbacks. I have reviewed the Resident before, but it comes in two very distinctive versions. There is the version I reviewed previously, which sadly I don't have here to show you to compare it to, but it is the exact same shape and everything, but aluminum handles with a liner lock. This is carbon fiber and titanium frame lock with a nice little stainless insert. Identical blades of D2 steel, both made in China. Both knives, I would say, kind of blur those lines between an EDC and a gentleman's knife. They both have some very gentlemanly characteristics, like this blade shape just kind of looks, you know, this nice little drop point blade shape that's kind of thin and piercy looking. Looks kind of gentlemanly in my opinion. But they're also a bit more built up, I guess, is what the word I'm looking for, than your average thin little gentleman's knife, like something like a, like the Real Steel Metamorph. Yeah, so like, a lot of gentleman's knives are very thin and sleek like this. This has all the classiness of a thin little sleek gentleman's knife, but it's a bit more robust, a bit more built up. They're both very good values. The aluminum version is $60. This one's only $85. You're getting a titanium and carbon fiber frame lock for $85. And guys, it's good carbon fiber. This ain't cheap or crap carbon fiber. It's not fake. It is real, genuine all the way through. Slab of carbon fiber, no liner. Doesn't need it. Very nicely done. I'm a carbon fiber snob, and this is really well done. Just as nicely done as I've seen on knives that cost 2 and 3 times this much. Same could be said for the titanium side. Just as nicely done as knives I've seen that cost a lot more. It's very well done. This thing looks really expensive. It really does. And the D2 steel, yeah, it's not like, some of the carbon fiber titanium fancy ones may have M390, 20CV, something like that. But D2, I mean, gosh, you look at their $300 knives that still run D2. It's still a great steel. It gets a bad rap for some corrosion problems, but you know what? I mean, I live in New York. It's not particularly salty or damp out, but I never have any problems with it. And it's a good working steel. It holds an edge for a long time. It's not a total nightmare to sharpen, which is good. Deep carry pocket clip. I just love the overall look of it. I just love the shape of it. It just strikes me really well. You do have tip up, tip down, right hand, left hand carry, which is always nice. It's got these nice blue standoffs. They are the bluest blue in the history of blue. I don't know what formula that they use to anodize their blue. Here, I have another one, and this is a good time to bring this out, I guess. Like on the Modus, too. It's just like, wah! I don't know what they do to anodize that blue. But this is a bit of a departure from Steel Will, because they usually either make their knives in China that look like this. This is a Modus with FRN handles and D2 steel and fairly working hardcore knives, or they make them in Italy with M390 and running on ball bearings and but the exact same shapes, where this is a China only model, and it is a bit fancier than their other China models, so it's kind of interesting to me. If I had to make one complaint looks wise, it does involve the glowing blue standoffs. I mean, I like them. I love blue. But I could totally see why, if you wanted this to be a discreet kind of gentleman's knife, you would rather these just be black or just plain silver or whatever. I could totally see why someone would say that. The aluminum one had these same standoffs on it. So, but yeah, other than that one minor little complaint. And quality, as I said, is excellent. Lockup's really good. Okay, what about 40% lockup. Blade centering's really good. Everything runs really smooth. It's a very well-made knife for $85. You're getting a whole lot of bang for the bucks, especially if you are, looking just for the features. You're getting titanium, you're getting carbon fiber, getting a really good steel. Yeah, you're getting a very nice, sleek design for $85. I challenge you to find another titanium carbon fiber frame lock for $85. I know that immediately in the comments somebody's going to post one, but pretty hard to find, and from a good company. Steel Will is taking this. They're taking the knife world by storm lately. In a lot of ways, they've made some great designs. People love them. I know my Steel Will videos get a whole lot of views. I know you guys like them out there. So this is a very good value. Now let's get into some specs and stuff before we go too much farther. we have an overall length of just over 8 inches, about 8.1 inches. Blade length dead on 3.5 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.12 inches. So again, much like other things I said about the blade, it's a bit thicker than some other gentlemanly blades. This is a bit taller blade also. And you have a handle thickness of a very slim 0.42 inches, which is really nice when you're wanting to carry a knife wearing slacks or dockers or dress pants or something. It's nice to have a really thin knife so it's not sticking out. And a very good weight of, according to my scale, 3.15 ounces. So pretty light knife. Pretty light knife for a 3.5 inch blade. That's pretty darn light. Can't complain about that, especially with the tie frame lock. A lot of times tie frame locks weigh a bit more, but this carbon fiber slab saves a whole lot of weight. Let's do some size comparisons. First up, we will compare it against the knife I compared its less expensive brother against I had out here earlier. This is the Real Steel Metamorph. Almost exactly the same length as the Real Steel Metamorph, but obviously a much more robust built knife than that. Oh, let's compare it against another kind of slim little knife that I would put in this category, but much more expensive. This is a Benchmade 940. This happens to be the carbon fiber S90V version. Very similar in overall size and dimensions to that. And then one more that kind of, another knife I would say, an EDC / gentlemanly one. This is the Kershaw Dividend at M390. And for consistency, let's compare it to our usuals, Spyderco Paramilitary 2.
Oop, almost got myself off camera.
Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and your Spyderco Delica. A lot bigger than a Delica. Pretty similar in size to the Paramilitary 2 though. Alright, now let's talk about this blade. As I said in the previous review, it slices pretty well. It's fairly thin behind the edge. I don't think I specified that in the last review. I've only started adding that to all my reviews. This is about 23 thousandths behind the edge. Pretty slicey, almost a saber grind. It's a flat grind, but it just, this little swedge comes down so far, this flat comes down so far, it's almost kind of a saber grind. But it works great. It cuts pretty well. It's not a super ultra slicey blade like now. I was comparing the Wii Rectifier, which is probably not fair because that's a really slicey knife, or even like the PM2 here probably is a little bit better of a slicer, but it's not dramatically worse, and it does have that nice, I think, for this kind of knife, pretty beefy tip. It's a very piercy knife, which I do like a lot. It's a good compromise blade shape. I have no problems with D2, and I've had a lot of steel wills in D2, and I've never had a problem with it. I've always been able to sharpen them fairly easily. They hold an edge really well. Yeah, it's a lot of people give D2 grief about corrosion. I haven't had any issue with that. I do live in New York State. I don't live in a tropical climate or anything, but I don't oil them or anything. I just keep them clean, and I've never really had a problem. Not saying you won't if you live in a more tropical climate, but it is not, it's just barely not a stainless steel. It's like that, it's like that much below stainless steel. So, but I'm perfectly fine with the blade on it. I think for this kind of application, it works great. I think they did a great job with it. Ergonomically, this is really good. The aluminum version had this like wavy stuff on it, which I do admit was a bit grippier. I kind of liked the way it looked, but it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. This looks amazing, and it still grips really well. Just the handle shape. You do have a cutout here for your finger, but there isn't that secondary cutout that occasionally causes people trouble. So I don't think anybody's really going to have any ergonomic problems with that. It definitely fits my large size hands, skinny fingers, fits fine. And again, the same thing I said on the other one. It's got this little thumb disc. I call it the thumb trapezoid it has on here. And it's got a little jimping on there, so it's nice to be able to, you can just kind of rotate your finger to the side and you get some blade jimping, which I think that's a pretty sweet idea, really. Like, you get jimped thumb discs a lot, and they don't really work as well for that. But this works really well just as a little bit of secondary jimping there. It works great. No hot spots at all. This clip is not hard. It's not even touching my palm hardly at all. Just the shape of it works really well. I really like it. This carbon is very slick, but I wouldn't have them change it because the way I carry this, I've had this one actually for almost a month. It's been a while since I got the review out. I actually shot one review like a week after I had it, and I changed my mind about some stuff, so I'm redoing it now. But it is pretty slick, but the way I've been carrying it with nicer clothes, and I kind of like that it's a bit slick going into my pocket. Yes, if this was a peel ply kind of carbon texture, it would be a bit grippier. But the shape of it, I don't feel like it's going to come sliding out of my hand. I'm all right with it. And the overall shape is really good. Yeah, it would fit my hands better if it was a little bit thicker, but then again, it wouldn't fit its purpose. So I think for the purpose of this knife, the ergonomics are outstanding on it. Really do like that. Carry also, as I said, you're looking at, what did I say, just a hair over 0.4 inches, and you have a nice deep carry pocket clip here. It slides in and out of the pocket super easy on that nice slick carbon. There's hardly anything sticking out. You're just going to have that little bit sticking out of there. I do kind of wish this wasn't a shiny clip. I do kind of wish this was some kind of finish that more matched the titanium. For this price, I don't expect it to be a titanium clip, but either matte black it or something. I'm not too excited about that shininess because it is a very long clip, so it is a very noticeable clip in your pocket. But that is a minor little complaint, definitely. Deployment, I will say that I did have this side by side for a couple of days with the aluminum one. The aluminum one has aluminum one has a bit of a stiffer detent. I did prefer the detent on the aluminum version, but this is not bad. It's still very reliable, flick out with just, if you do it really well, you don't need any wrist flick at all, but a little tiny bit of wrist flick guarantees it gets out every time. On the aluminum one, it had a bit stronger detent and it was a bit easier to flick out with no wrist flick whatsoever. It runs on one phosphor bronze bushing and one Teflon bushing. Take that as you may. Some people have a complete aversion to Teflon bushings, but I've been tearing apart a lot of knives lately, and they sneak little Teflon ones in there. Like for instance, I have one over here somewhere. The your Ontario Rat Model 1 and Model 2, they got a little bit of Teflon in there too that they sneak in, tiny little bits, tiny little flat, microscopically thin little Teflon washers in between the bronze and the blade. But anywho, I don't have a problem with it. It works well, so it's fine with me. I honestly don't have any preference towards bearings or washers or whatever. As long as it works well, I don't care. We'll see as I put a lot of miles in this, because this is a keeper. This is definitely one that's staying in the collection, so I'm going to have it for a long time. I'll do a long-term update on this, and I will let you guys know if that Teflon one wears out at all. But yeah, I think we're down just to the conclusions. Conclusion is, I really like this knife. I really, really do. I was very happy with the aluminum one, and I was honestly just going to stand pat and stick with the aluminum one. And then I watched Kevin Cleary's review of this titanium carbon Framelock, and he raved about what an amazing value it was, and I thought, I got to see that for myself. So I sold the aluminum one and bought this, and yeah, I really, really, really like this. It's pretty great. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't buy this. Steel Will sent it to me. This was provided by the manufacturer. I have to say that at the end of that. I didn't ask if they want it back or not yet. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and hope that they don't say anything. If they tell me they want it back, I'm going to buy it, though, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it was provided to me by them. I forgot about that. I apologize for not saying that up front. I forget that sometimes. I try to let you guys know every time that I do, but I admit sometimes that I forget. So yeah, this, as Nick always says, this may be the best QC one they ever made. But Kevin Cleary bought his cash, and his was great too. So I have no doubt that this is just how they all are. It is a great knife. I really like Steel Will as a company and what they're doing. I love the way it looks. One thing I forgot to mention, the looks. It does have a fair amount of billboarding on it. If you're upset about that, then you're upset about that, and then I can't help you. But it's good-looking billboarding. It doesn't really bother me. This is just a great value. If you're working a job where you have to wear kind of biz casual, and but still have to do some stuff, for instance, I could think of if you worked at like a really nice electronics store, or that's the only one that's coming to mind right now, but like places like that where you work there, you have to dress like, polo shirt, khakis, that kind of stuff, but you may actually have to open some boxes and do some stuff every now and then. Perfect knife for that. Perfect knife for that kind of job. It's and 85 bucks, and it's a good company. I know they stand behind their warranty. I've recently just had an issue with one that was my fault, and they're taking care of it. I will cover that more in a later video, but really do like this knife. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a more robust kind of gentleman's folder. I've been carrying it a whole lot. It sat in a case for 2 weeks while I was in Germany, but since I've been back, I've been carrying it a lot because I wanted to get this review done. Fantastic knife. Hope you guys have enjoyed this and found it informative. I'll put a link down below to the aluminum version, and I also did a comparison between the aluminum version and the aforementioned Metamorph. I'm out of practice with that front flipper. So I did a comparison between the aluminum one and this one. It was my old blue one, though. I changed to the gray one. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Have a good one. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that crap. Have a good one. I've been Brian.